Joining me now, I'm so grateful to say, my dear friend and host of the Readout, MSNBC's Joy Reid. Joy, first of all, thank you so much for getting up on a Saturday and joining me after working all week. I know what an ass this was, and I thank you, but there's so much happening. I really wanted us to have this conversation. I saw your tweet. I will only keep 37% of the group chat public here as we talk about some of these trending topics. I first wanted to talk about this incredibly sad situation happening in Georgia. And really all over the country with the violence against our friends in the Asian American community. Your show, The Readout, has done a great job of keeping this story at the forefront. And I have to say, even before The Readout, you've always kept diverse voices at the forefront and challenges they face. I mean, what do you make of all this? And actually, before you respond, I want to play Chip Roy's soundbite for you so you can hear what he said and get your reaction to it.
We believe in justice. Right? There's old sayings in Texas about, find all the rope in Texas and get a tall oak tree. We take justice very seriously, and we ought to do that. Round up the bad guys.
I mean, homeboy happened to offend every community he possibly could in that soundbite. I'm disgusted by those comments and by him. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, well, first of all, I have the sister privilege and just say, first of all, I haven't had a chance to congratulate you on air for the Cross Connection. I never miss it. Normally, I am actually prone in my bed watching, but I am watching. I watch Velshi, and then I watch you, and then on Sundays I watch Jonathan, but always in bed. I'm really proud to be here, and I'm proud of you, and I love the show. It's been a journey. Of course. No, it's been an interesting week because I think we've gotten a lot of clarity, right? I mean, one thing that Donald Trump has to get credit for is that he's created a lot of clarity. There's no more sort of obfuscation about whether or not Republicans want to be, compassionate conservatives 1 minute or they want to be fiscal conservatives. All of that has been wiped away, right? So the core sort of the kind of id is now out. And I think that what Chip Roy did was he spoke the id. I mean, he is from Texas. He's from a state that is already reaching the critical mass of diversity that the whole country is going to reach. And the reaction that we've seen to that, just in your previous interview talking about voter suppression, what the reaction has been is, no, we've got to suppress these emerging communities, right? We can't let them vote. We can't let them gain power. We have to stop there from being another Barack Obama. But when it comes to Asian Americans, as you've said on this show often, they're often just left out of the whole conversation about racism. They're just left out, even though one of the biggest mass lynchings in U.S. history was against Chinese immigrants in the 1870s, when a rumor sparked that Chinese immigrants were killing white folks in the 1870s. A mass 500 white men showed up in Chinatown in California, old Chinatown, and just started hanging and shooting and killing Chinese immigrants. That history of lynching includes Chinese people. It includes Asian people. It includes Japanese American internment. So we're having this whole broad conversation about racism and hate that I think is because Donald Trump made everything that was covert overt. I think that what Chip Roy said is repulsive. He also didn't apologize for it. He doubled down and he said, well, if you didn't like it, too bad, because I said it.
Yeah, and it's not surprising, honestly, Joy. And I'm curious for you. I know in my inbox, on my timelines, there's a lot of horizontal hate happening. Like there are people who are like, don't include Asian Americans. They're not people of color. And then they don't stand with black people. And it's just, I have to say, it's not true. I've worked with so many people in the Asian American community who are combating anti-black sentiment within the community, who are standing and marching in solidarity with Black Lives Matter. What do you say to people who feel like there cannot be space in your heart to care about this issue in your own community?
Yeah, and we've had a lot of these conversations, and I have to say that, part of my kind of secret sauce that I've had is born of theft, right? A former AM Joy producer who you know very well, who's produced you, Kai Ma, who's one of our producers now on The Readout, has been a really great voice of intersectionality and has produced the segments that we've done on the massacre, the Atlanta massacre. And she and I have talked a lot about, I know you know her as well, about this sort of intersectional conversation, because there is a history of intra-ethnic combativeness between various communities, including several, parts of the Asian American community and parts of the African American community. You can go all the way back, to the sort of Rodney King era, when you had these incidents between, grocers of Korean descent and African Americans. You had that in New York. You had this sort of tension between brown and black communities. And this has happened all throughout history, because the easiest way to keep people of color from massing together to demand rights as a collective is to keep them fighting. And, this sort of universe of sort of the way America has worked has kept us fighting really, really well. They've done a really good job of keeping us at each other instead of really focused on the collective. But I can tell you that has changed a lot. There is a lot of intersectional conversation that's happening between Black and Asian folks. And it's partly because of this rise in violence. I first heard about the really spark of Asian American violence because Questlove was posting about it. Questlove from the Roots, he was posting about it. And he was, saying, we got to have this conversation. Reverend Al Sharpton, my big brother, Reverend Al, our friend, Reverend Al, and fellow host on MSNBC, has talked a lot about the intersectional. But we have to remember that whatever sideways conversations are happening about whether we've not been proper allies in the past, the bigger picture is that white supremacy unites us because it's targeting all of us. It's targeting all of us. And we have to work together. And I think that you've seen a lot more intersectionality because we get what the real villain is. The real villain is white supremacy and violence.
Hey, thanks for watching our YouTube channel. You should know that you can follow today's top stories and breaking news and catch up on your favorite MSNBC shows all in one place. Download the NBC News app today.